Welcome to Yeshiva Daf, your sponsor, Lunish Masav Yakshalom Napas Yitzchok. We're holding in Sanhedrin Daf from Test. We're starting from Chesed base, 3 lines from the bottom. Zok the Gemara. V'omer Shlokish. Oyvet kechovim sheshovas chayav miso. Oyvet kechovim who kept Shabbos is chayav death. Shneimar v'yoyim v'laylo lo yishboisu. It says in the pasuk, day and night they will not stop. And the Gemara understands it refers to human beings as well. They cannot stop. They cannot do a Shabbos. It says not to do it, so they chayav misa. Not only Shabbos, even Monday. Now, why do we say Sunday? Because I want to tell you, even though they're not doing, like the Christians are doing Sunday. They're not doing Christians. They just, Rashi learns, they just one day take a day off. If they take a day off completely, a guy is chayav misa. Rambam argues and says it has to do for religion purposes. So why you don't mention one of the Zayim mitzvahs? They can't do Shabbos. We just said what he has to refrain from doing. Here it's the opposite. What he has to do. Don't refrain from working. So what it says to go do dinim. Dinim means you have to go and judge. So the word kum it's both. So that means why? Because you have to do. There are some things you do is to not to do, right? Don't take bribery. Right? That's part of the dinim is there's things to do and things not to do. A guy is learning Torah is chayam miso. Shenemar Torah tziva lonu Moshe Marsha. We have it a Yerusha. We have inheritance. Why did he mention one of the Semites calendar? If it's because it's Yerusha to us, so they're stealing it from us, and stealing is part of the Shemites. She's engaged. So we learned that that's part of our rights.
Here's a question.
Yeah.
Sanhedrin kills him, or who kills him?
Yeah.
Well, why would he hold by Sanhedrin? He's a guy. He's not a Jew.
We're talking about all the cases in this Gemara. We're talking about the Goyim are living among the Jews, and they are subject to their rules and regulations. Are you right? No.
No, we have no religion.
It's not here. It's only in Israel when I'm so in control. So how do you know the Goy is learning Torah? Is great. It's like a Kohen Gadol. Shenemar sheyaser yisrael ma'odem v'chai behem Kohanim Levim Yisrael lo yinem. I didn't say Kohen Levi Yisrael. Elo Adam. It says Adam. Mat shefilu kechov yoyis b'Torah. I read Kohen Gadol. It can be he's like a Kohen Gadol. Why Kohen Gadol? Because it says chai behem. So Kohen Gadol is lav davka. That's what we saw it in the Masechus Bavakamo. The idea is that Kohen Gadol is the highest level of kedusha. Also, B'Shem mitzvah do. So, no, what he means they can learn Torah is their own 7 mitzvahs. They can't learn other mitzvahs. Now, just 2 halakhos over here before we continue on. Number 1 is the Gemara says, so you learn over here a goy as well. So Rashi says, remember the Gemara Bavakama tells us that Atem Kurim Odom, V'loi Umusayim Kurim Odom. Odom is only Am Yisrael, not the goy. So why here you saying Odom means a goy? So Rashi says he argues. Amir argues, and he holds Adam is also a goy. But Taisa says something which is fascinating to think about. That Adam without a, that is only Yisrael. Ha-Adam with a includes a goy as well. So here talk about Ha-Adam. That's why here's a goy. To understand why the extra a makes a difference. Just one more nekuda. We spoke about 2 things that the goy dies. The goy dies because of Shabbos. If he keeps Shabbos, the guys if he keeps Torah. So we'll be married in the Beis Hashem and the Shomach Shom on the Daf. Just to mention one nekuda that comes up in the Marashah is that both things have to do, they're considered to be marriage to Am Yisrael. Am Yisrael is married to Shabbos. Am Yisrael is married to Torah. So when the guy is with him, what comes up in the Gemara, he's basically taking away a wife that doesn't belong to him. So you learn you're not allowed to also eat blood from an animal. Now I'll eat a limb. Even blood from an animal. My time is Where does he know that? Domo ben nafshoy. It says the pasuk is basar ben nafshoy domo. So you darshan basar ben nafshoy and domo ben nafshoy. While he's alive, you're not allowed the meat, you're not allowed the blood. But I'm saying no. That's coming to tell you that he's allowed to eat worms, right? Because it says why it says blood to tell you that to say that it just tells you that you're not allowed to eat the blood because it's an animal. But if it will be a sheretz, it is. It's not necessarily because he's alive. It says the Gemara, I mean, to tell you that only Avram and Achai have an animal, not of a sheretz. Says the Gemara, also by Yisrael, we have this discussion about the blood when the animal is alive. Rak chazak levilti echoy ladom ki adom mo nefesh. It's not to eat blood. This is Am Yisrael. Rak chazak. So we're going to read this parenthesis. Rak chazak levilti echoy ladom is Avram and Achai. Don't eat the blood. Don't eat the limb. Ki adom mo nefesh is the dam and Achai. It tells you not to eat the limb and not to eat the blood. No, we're talking about not you're not allowed to eat the blood. Not because it's alive, but to tell you that according to, we know you're not allowed to eat blood. They used to eat blood, but there's different types of blood. There's a blood which is called dam nefesh. There's blood called dam hakazo. Dam hakazo, you have the beginning of the blood. You have blood after a flow of blood. When they draw blood for a person, the beginning of the blood is like called a wound blood. And what comes in later is darker blood. And that blood is more. I would maybe tell you that you could eat. Chiddush is also not allowed to. Okay, so he says because we're telling you, Rashi said I would think maybe only the blood of shechting you're not allowed to eat. Why it says twice by Noach and by Moshe? Now comes a big yisoid. Torah Yisrael B'Chanina called mitzvah shenemar lev Noach. V'nishnes b'Sinai, any mitzvah that was mentioned to the Noach, and it was repeated again in Sinai, lezeh v'lezeh ne'emar. So it's meant for both, for the goyim and for the Jews. Lebnei Noach v'lo nishne b'Sinai. If it was mentioned to be Noach and it was not repeated in Sinai, then what? Who you think is talking to? It was mentioned to the goyim, not to the Jews. So it's going to who? So it's more like Yisrael ne'emar, mentioned to the Jews. No one's going to ask why do you say? Simple understanding goes to the guy. The only example we have is Gida Nosh. Because Gida Nosh was mentioned to Yaakov. Rashi, it says clearly that Yaakov is considered to be a Ben Noach. And then and it wasn't repeated. And that's according to Abudo that says that we were also Gida Nosh from Ben Yaakov, and not that it came later and Moshe Rabbeinu just said it while speaking about Ben Yaakov. I'm going to ask and explain to answer your question. If it was said to the goyim and repeated in Sinai, we will say to both. Nemro, Adarabo. We said one Adarabo and Yishtet the Sinai Yisrael Nemro v'lo Noach. The fact it was written in Sinai as well, so he was going to tell you only Yisrael and not Noach. Me the Idni or Kachavim Sinai. We can't say that if it said to both. If it said twice, it's mentioned only to the goyim, not to Yisrael, because only to Yisrael, not to goyim, because clearly it says of the Zohar. The Zohar says twice. The Zohar we learned by Adam Rishon. And the Zohar says to Am Yisrael. Now, will goyim punish for the Zohar? Yes, we don't. Goyim punish for the Zohar. So al korchoch that the fact that it says Rashi brings this the Shava Umois. It says they have the Zohar. So the fact they have the Zohar by goyim teaches you that goyim are also. So Karchach means for both. If it says to Noach and to Yisrael, so they both are also. Says the Gemara, if it was mentioned only in Noach, it goes to Yisrael. Says the Gemara, ask your question. Maybe it's only for going not for Yisrael. This is one that I can't say. Why not? There's no such thing. The Avisol is Osir and the Goy is Mutter. So the opposite. The Goy is Osir and Avisol is Mutter. It can't be. That's what it is. Now, what about they say? What about Shabbos? We just mentioned Shabbos. We should Shabbos. A goy cannot keep Shabbos. Yisrael could keep Shabbos. So as Taisus points out, that's not that he could keep Shabbos. He's mitzvah. That's his obligation. So he has the obligation. The goy have the opposite. It's not considered something which is mutter. That we don't have. So very fast toyar. First toyar, when you conquer in the war, you take the woman. Yisrael is allowed to. A goy is not allowed to. How so we should allow bnei kibush ninu? So the goy doesn't have conquering. If we have a question, we should already ask over here. It says Amun and Moav Tira B'Sichon. So we did find conquering. Question. The one here is telling us that goy cannot conquer. We learned that if you do less than Parachat B'Sheh by Yisrael it's okay, by goy not. Also we should love bnei mechilinu. So like we said before, Yisrael is moichel. Goy is not moichel. Doesn't have the ability to be moichel. So therefore you have on Parachat B'Sheh but not that it's also to them more than the Jew. Just the Jew has mechilin.
Just learned about abortion.
What?
We learned just before about abortion.
That abortion.
In some instances, mutter bayas, but not by them.
Right. That abortion is right. So it's very good. So the question is, really that Taisus asked this question. You don't remember to ask this question. Ask question. The last Taisus over here. So he says, "Chav Potter." So he says, "Yisrael is Potter, but not mutter. You're not allowed to do an abortion. Yisrael, you're not killed for it. You're not allowed to."
Right, the mother's life is in danger.
Oh, so that's saving a life. Everybody can do. Say, but I'm saying if the mother is not in danger, you're not allowed to do abortion. Okay, so that's really those things addresses it. So the Gemara tells us over here. That's why. So, and Rashi explains. So how is the logic? Logic is like this: the Bnei Noach got mitzvahs. Then when Am Yisrael came, Am Yisrael upgraded. So they took all of the Bnei Noach had and they went to the next level. Bnei Noach, some mitzvahs they kept and some mitzvahs they lost. Because they didn't keep the mitzvahs, so they lost the mitzvahs. So therefore, that's how you look at it. So whatever was said to Bnei Noach remains by Yisrael because they were upgraded. But whatever is not repeated, only the Bnei Noach don't have. Says the Gemara now called mitzvah. When it was saying both, it says the both. So the Gemara down in Testament base. Milo is also said to Bnei. Dichtivato is brisis tishmor. Venishnes b'Sinai. That's talking about Avraham Avinu. Rashi, right? Milo. And we learned. Look at first Rashi. Rashi says Milo Yisrael never will be knocked the chashrak b'shamitz. I want to say mitzvahs. So Milo said to Bnei Noach. So I thought to be sure talking about what? Talking about Avraham Avinu. Finish up Sinai. Repeated in Sinai when? Because it says again. It's only to a Jew, not to a goy. So the reason it says over here, so I tell you can do it even on Shabbos. So not just tell you the mitzvah of Mila. Very prove review should never be noyach. Dechtiv atem prove rule v'nishu b'Sinai lechamor le'shu lechem lo alechem. It says to all of you should have to have children, multiply. And it says by Sinai, actually we're told Am Yisrael go back to your tents. L'Yisrael never will be noyach. Only Jews have not noyach, even though it says twice. Here, the reason it says not to give you a mitzvah approval. We already have it, but it's telling you that that when there's an Isser doesn't automatically expire. This explains. You need to have another hector that tells mutter. So Shmuel said not to be with their wives. So once that Isser is over, he has to tell them go back to your wives. Because he doesn't say that they're not allowed.
Wasn't there just for 2 days?
What?
By Sinai, it wasn't just for a few days.
Yeah, but it doesn't expire automatically. You have to tell them that you go back. That's a chiddush. Okay, so it says the Gemara. So every use in this psukkah that's mentioned twice is for going for Yisrael. No, maybe it was written, everyone has its own reason why it's repeated. Why does it say again Hazor? If he says lav, don't do it and don't do it again, you have to say twice. You want to just add something to say without Hazor. The other hand, let me get the nosh bilvad. The nosh is the only thing. Meaning that we said the Gida Nosha is the only thing that is mentioned to Bnei Noach, not Yisrael, and only Yisrael has it. So, right? What is that following Gida Nosha? We just mentioned now you have Mila and you have pure Revia. That was mentioned only by going, if not by Yisrael, because we mentioned by Yisrael, there was a reason why it was mentioned. Says the Gemara, Hani Shumil Sabe'anu. Haloid Nikla. So no, yeah, you're right. Meaning, really, Mila and Priya Virivya is mentioned. It's not really mentioned twice because the second time is we need it, but still, it's still mentioned twice. I want to give you an example that something is mentioned only once, literally only once, and that's Gida Nosha. If I say Mila mi Karla Avrom with the Kamaza Rachmano, Atav is busy Sishmor Atov v'Zarecha Choecho leDeroisom Atav v'Zarecha In. So he says Mila. This is more basically. I'm sorry. Mila is not given to a goy. It was not, even though it says to Avraham Avinu was not yet Yisrael, but it says clearly it's giving to you and to your children only. So it was meant for Am Yisrael.
So we assume his, I thought the whole household that's his.
I mean, that's his household. It's him, not the goy. So it says, well, we said, what about the children of Avraham? So that's the next question of the Gemara. What about the children of Yishmael? He's part of the children. It says Be'itzchok and not Yishmael. That's so you know that they're not part of it. Now, that's what the Gemara says. According to this, so Bnei Ketayro should not be chayv.
So Shvatim had more.
Yeah, it's the children. Or the children. Yeah. So well, but Bnei Ketayro we don't have a mute. So when they should not be chayv. The children that were born to Hagar later in the life of Avraham Avinu. Bnei Ketayro also chayv in Bris Milah. So it says the Gemara. Sorry. A special pasuk to say that they're included. Adam could not eat meat. He was a vegetarian. It says, I'll give you the fruits and vegetables for you and for the animals. But the animals can't eat from you. Once Bnei Noach came, then he allowed them. I'm giving you everything like the vegetables. So once you can eat an animal, you can eat a live animal. It says that it has to be. That's the pasuk tells you don't eat every menachai. The short you can't eat when it's alive. Something that blood and the meat is two different things, like an animal. To short to shame dom by a sheret, the blood and the meat and the flesh considered to be the same thing. So he says, okay, right? Because the dam of shortzim, they're not called dam the Gabi Yisrael. That's what I should point out. By Yisrael is not considered to be blood. Says the Gemara, it says that they will be controlling the fish. Means they can eat fish. They can use the fish to work with. Don't give me a melach. When do you work with fish? So the Gemara we saw it in Bava Kama. It says if you go and you use a fish and a goat to carry a wagon. Like a big fish and a goat carrying a wagon. Why? The question is the problem kilayim or not? What do you see over here? You see that a fish you can work with. It says you're going to control the birds. Does it mean to eat it? Can you have fish and birds work? It says over there if you use geese and chicken to step on the food on the grain and to smash it. So according to the Sugi Din Babutzia, recently learns then you have to be someone who walks on his hands and feet. So Shaila birds that only walk on the feet, not on the hands, is a problem with that. But you see that you can work with it. So it says the Gemara Toshba. Uvichol chayor mitzvahs al haaretz. It says all the chayor mitzvahs al haaretz, masha that you eat. Hula suyi nochashos. There means that so the Gemara wasn't about right. When they use a chaya to work with, chaya means a wild animal. Never use a wild animal to work with. So they want to know. It's coming to tell you about the nachash. The nachash you would use. What do you mean nachash you would use? It says the Gemara the time Shimon Nasei mechaval al shamash kodol shov min oilam. It's a big pity. We used to have a big servant. His name was a snake. The snake was to be going on his feet, and he was a great servant. Now the Nachash was cursed. So everyone we saw would have two servants, two snakes. One he would send to the north, and one he would send to the south. To bring the precious jewelry, and they would take care of it. Not only you would take a ritzua, underneath his tail. Take out sand, you would carry the sand. In other words, the Nachash would be a great shopper. He'd be the AI for you. Yeah? But, so the Nachash you used to work with. So the Gemara says, really, other Moshe was not allowed to eat meat. What it says they had control on them was to work with them. You're sitting again. They were frying, roasting for meat and giving wine. So Nachash saw that he was very jealous. So what do you see? There is meat. So this is not meat that he shechted. It's meat that came from Shemayim. Such a thing, a meat came from Shemayim. Have a cause of Baruch who's going in the way. He sees these lions that are roaring in front of him. Says to Shamayim, they need food. He's a pasuk. They want to eat something. They came out two thighs for Shamayim. One they ate. They left it for him. I see most of his wish. He brought it to his relish. Is this Tomer or Torah? There was no shechita. It came from Shemayim. It's clearly Torah. What happens if what came out from Shemayim looks like a donkey? Is that Tomer or Torah? There was an expression of tanin shoitin, which means that it's like a type of bird that is always crying. You're kvetcher. What do you mean? I don't care if it's the shape of a donkey. Yes, it looks like a donkey. No, anything from Shemayim is not Tomer. So Gemara's conclusion is, other Moshe did not have meat. The only meat he had is what came from Shemayim. And the Gemara just mentioned that when things come from Shemayim, it is not Tomer, it's Torah. Now, I just want to mention one thing before we depart. We raise the Shemayim Chanit to the Shom Machshav and Daf. You're very good to listen in the beginning of this Daf, but it has to do really with a lot of details of this Daf. And that is the question. We started the Daf by learning that a goy sheshav as chayim miso. Goy keep Shabbos chayim miso. So the question is, how did the Avos HaKadosh keep Shabbos? How do they keep Shabbos? It says that Avraham Avinu kept even every Tasha. That's the question. So the Parashat Joachim starts. The first Jewish Parashat Joachim asks, is the Avos HaKadosh have a din of a goy or a din of a Jew? So he brings many rights. One of the rights he had the Jew, the fact that he kept Shabbos. And we saw in our Gemara, the Gemara treats him like a B'nayach. The B'nayach Nemro. This could be that when the Gemara means B'nayach, it means it was say before Matan Torah. But so that's not a clear right. Then he brings this big machlokes. So showing regarding that, so not so clear. So that was one answer. The other very, very, very famous answer is the Purim Yofus. Purim Yofus' tricky ways to say is like this: for a goy, the night comes after the day, and for a Jew, the night comes before the day. So what you do is like this: the goy that kept Shabbos, he kept Friday night and Shabbos day. For a goy, that's not Shabbos. Friday night belongs to Friday. Shabbos day belongs to Shabbos. He did Chilul Shabbos and went to Shabbos. So if he's a goy, he can keep up 24 hours. If he's a Jew, that's not 24 hours. So that's how you solve this problem. And finally, the last answer, famous answer, is the Briskerov, which has to do a lot with the Machshava part of this. And that is that, of course, the Avos HaKadoshim were Yisrael, but they weren't full Yisrael. So they were in the process. They went away. They're not goyim anymore, and they're starting to be Jews. And the only problem to do shvisa is to do it the way they learned from the Rambam as doing it as a different religion. Now, doing it as being a Jew and partially a Jew, then there's no issue, and that's the third answer for this thing. Well, this will stop. Be'ez Hashem will continue on Shabbos from the 2 dots at the bottom of here.